everybody. Welcome to our stream. This is the Gridiron Survivor Apprenticeship team. Um, and we have Mary here as our special guest to talk about how she was able to get her jobs by building in public. But first, I want to talk about what Gridiron Survivor is. Gridiron Survivor is a program that I created because I was seeing a lot of individuals that were self-taught or boot camp that didn't have certain skills to give them or get them to get that first job. Skills like understanding how to take a task, getting it through the finish line, doing code reviews, unit testing, being experience in agile and Kanban and all of that. And then also the biggest thing is just team collaboration, right? You're working on your own. You're approving everything. But when you work with a team and you have a team coding standards and structure and process and everything, it takes a little bit more time. And that's how a real job is as well, right? Like there's just going to be things that are barriers and blockages that you have to get through. And because that company doesn't want to create any regressions or issues that come up. So hence is why this whole process is tough for a self-taught individual to learn and understand and grasp because they probably only know as much as they do. So this program teaches these individuals that are in here to go through this whole thing. Like we go through a whole enterprise level process, have senior engineers reviewing PRs, making sure that they are writing good quality code and understanding how to just grasp the knowledge of what they're writing. So that's a little bit about Grand Survivor and what we're building. And then today, I wanted to go over some of our sponsors. All right, let me share my screen. All right, Alex, you're up.
Yeah, so one of our sponsors is Get Kraken, and Get Kraken is a very easy to use GUI tool for Git commands. And what it does is it makes it very easy to manage your repositories, branches, and commits in like a team environment, especially. Like it's very simple with just having to click around, and it really like gets rid of like any error prones that may happen, and it's just super easy to use.
Sweet. Thank you for that, Alex. And then just a few other highlights about their products. They have Get Lens as well. That's on VS Code that can look at your history, inline, and everything. It's a very awesome tool to have. All right, Juliana, who is next?
So, Front End Mentor basically is a website that provides you with different challenges with really nice designs by like professional designers, and you try to basically make the project. So it's a good way to practice. Some of them are just like vanilla JavaScript, or you can use it to practice React. I've done a bunch of them, and it helped me learn a lot of CSS and JavaScript.
Cool. Thank you for that, Juliana. And just quickly on top of that, they have newbie, junior, advanced, and guru difficulties. So you can definitely start easy or go big and go home. Go all the way to guru if you want to. All right. Lastly, Cody.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Vercel, who's sponsoring us through their open source program. Vercel offers a ton of products like hosting through one-click deployments through GitHub, GitLab, things like that. They're also the maintainers of Next.js, Turbo Repo, and the AI SDK. So they're a really amazing platform that just makes hosting and everything basically you need to do to build a web app easy.
Okay, I wasn't gonna do this, but I think I'll do this. So you can try V0, which is their AI tool, and it builds things for you, right? So I did this earlier. Build me the GeoCities website. Does anybody know what GeoCities is? No? Okay, maybe I'm
I'm
too
about to find out.
Bethany, you might. Okay, let's watch the AI. Okay, it's generating all this code for us, right? GeoCities is it used to be a hosting platform for websites in the 90s, right? Like it says here, it's very nostalgic. It's a certain style, and you'll see it. But you see how it's creating this code for us, right? It's using Next and it's going in and it's like templating this out for us, and the AI is generating that, and it's also doing the CSS. Um, and then when it's done, it'll show you the preview. It might take a little time, but when I did it, I was like, "Whoa, this is actually pretty cool!" Like, if you want to just prototype something real fast, just give it some prompts, tell it what to do, and it will build it for you.
Oh yeah, something
Reading,
too I can kind of say while it's loading is like I use it a lot too. Like if you make a .md file and then you just import that file into the chat and just hit enter, like it'll generate everything that you have laid out.
nice. So this is odd. It didn't do the GIFs earlier for me. We'll see how long this takes. It shouldn't take too long. Oh wow, it's building all the pages this time. Pixel Princess. Mm, I promise it will be fast. Come on. Yeah, earlier it did it pretty quickly. It just built the homepage, and then the navigation pages. It didn't do that yet because it just wanted to show me if I really like this style. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Bam! Beautiful.
Incredible.
Right? If you know GeoCities, this is exactly like GeoCities. The counter, the scrolling text, the awesome different colors, perfect, right? Like this is it built it to. I mean, some of the images are broken, but just from one prompt, it was able to do that. So that is the power of B0. Awesome. Well, now I wanted to introduce you, Mary. You are a guest speaker, and why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Okay, I'm gonna go briefly, I guess, not into the full story, but my name is Mary and I'm a design engineer currently working at Hypermode. And I'm here hopefully, like, I'm going to talk about my journey and hopefully it's going to help some of you. I definitely wish I could have somebody like me who would have told their journey when I was getting first started because God knows, I was very confused. So yeah, that's me very briefly.
Why don't you tell us how you got your first job? Like, what are the steps and what did you do to get there? And be as detailed as you want to with this one.
Okay. Okay, so I think it all starts with me opening my Twitter account. And the reason why I did that was because I had the most toxic on and off relationship with learning how to code. Like I was like starting a course and I was getting ahead and I stopped doing it because I felt intimidated and I stopped and I started again and so on. And then one day I decided to, because I was alone, I didn't have any friends in the tech field, I didn't join any bootcamp, and I was literally just me and my laptop trying to learn how to code, front-end engineering to be exact. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a Twitter account because I knew that that's where people are. And that's where the community is the biggest. And I made a Twitter account because I wanted to kind of keep myself accountable. Like I would feel really embarrassed giving up learning how to code if I knew that I have some people I know on Twitter and they're following me and I'm following them and we're discussing about that. Like that's how I went into Twitter. Um, and just to like fast forward to how I got my first job, I was sharing a lot of my stuff and the things that I was learning and a lot of my smaller explorations. I don't think I ever did any big projects. Like we know those full to-do list apps and like Netflix clones. I never did any of them. Again, I one of the biggest things I wish I did more was to be more consistent, but like everybody else, we start projects and we never finish them, and like we're talking about them and how we're starting all these projects online, and then we obviously they remain unfinished. But I was just sharing a lot of my work online, and there's this mobile engineer. He's also on Twitter, and he's pretty active there, and he saw my my work, and he offered me the very, very first tech job. And it was not a full job, it was just me and him working on one of his ideas. He wanted to build an app, and it was like a part-time job, like it was a very, very small job, just a few hours per week. And yeah, he just reached out to me. We were following each other for some time. I don't think we ever, I think we had one coffee chat, but I didn't go into that coffee chat thinking that he might hire me. I always thought that people who would hire me would be people from like companies who like own a startup or something. I just didn't think that he would want to hire me, but he did, and that goes to show that you never know what might happen and who you're talking with. So yeah, that's how I got my very first job.
Awesome. I mean, that's amazing because a lot of people online believe that building in public is a waste of time, right? And it's like, well, I only get 1 or 2 likes anyways. Why should I keep doing it, right? Like, can you
It hurts to
can you talk
hear,
about
sorry.
yeah? Can you talk about that stigma and how you feel about it?
Yeah, so I cannot tell you what I was thinking about it when I was first getting started, because I didn't know what building in public was when I was first getting started. I did it because I wanted to just have like my own place where I would just like do my 100 days of code, just log my progress and just try to be social. Mind you, I'm not a very social person. I don't do a lot of coffee chats. um, and so I just wanted to have a place, and I never thought about building in public. I don't even think I knew what that meant, like in the first few months when I joined. I think it was the end of 2023. But at one point I did realize that, hey, me being here, and there's a lot of people who are from a lot of great companies and a lot of people who are very talented, and I would like to collaborate with them and work with them. And that's when I think I realized that Twitter does have a power, and that's when I started to learn what building in public was. I was also getting like 1 or 2 likes. I still barely do get any
Yeah.
likes. Like it's perfectly normal. Um, I didn't believe about the power of working in public. At least like even after I got my first 2 jobs, I was like, okay, this is just pure luck. And I think when I got my third job, like my first really the most serious job to say so, which is at clerk, that's why I was like, damn, okay. And after that, I personally started to look at building in public differently, but it also took me some time to kind of believe in it. Like I was saying, the first very job I got was a very simple one, just a few hours per week. But one day I was literally, and this might be different for you because, and the way it was different for me because I was looking for a very specific role. I was looking for the role of somebody who does both design and engineering. And I just remember I put out this one tweet one day, and I was like so frustrated because I couldn't find anything on LinkedIn that would suit me. And I think maybe that would also be applicable to some of you guys. But I just put out a tweet and I was like, why can I not find a job that allows me to do this and that? And that was design and engineering at the same time. For you, it might be something else. But my point is that I spoke about it. Like I put a tweet out there and I was really brief and direct. And I think in a few hours I got a DM from somebody who was owning a startup, and he was like, hey, I have the perfect role for you to be able to do this and that. And that was like my biggest first role. So yeah, you literally never know. He actually told me that after he DM'd me about this, at first I thought it was a scam. I was like, okay, because
Yeah.
I thought it was a scam, but it turned out it wasn't. And he actually told me that I saw your work, I saw the stuff that you posted, and I was impressed by it. And that's why I decided to send you that DM. And like literally, this is exactly what building in public means. Like he saw my work, and I was posting my work, not every single day, not every single week, just as often as I could. And he liked it, and he offered me the job. And it's still very hard for me to believe that, but it happened, and it's incredible, and it's very powerful. And I don't think anybody should think it's not going to get them anywhere, because it definitely took me a lot of time as well. So yeah, just keep pushing.
Awesome. That's a fantastic story and something to look up to as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to open the floor to anybody that wants to ask Mary any questions or follow up questions to what her journey has been so far.
Yeah, I got a kind of question I was thinking about as you're like answering. So I noticed that you like did Twitter a lot. Like, have you ever tried it with like LinkedIn? Like, did you kind of notice that Twitter was, in a sense, like giving you better results versus LinkedIn? Because I will say,
Mm.
like, LinkedIn right now, I do have like more connections, and then on Twitter, I maybe have like 10 people.
Good question. I didn't focus on LinkedIn. I still don't. I do have a profile there because I feel like it's good to have it, and I think it's a good platform to get a job. I just focused on Twitter because that's the platform I choose to be at, and I always thought that LinkedIn is more for corporations and companies, and like I'm not going to be able to make a post about literally everything I want. And I still do have this feeling that people can be a bit more maybe that's just me, but people can be a bit more open on Twitter. It's like I see it more personal than I see LinkedIn. I see LinkedIn more for making posts about my old job, my new job, and like any big projects that I worked on. But yeah, I don't have a personal, I do have a personal choice because that's where I started with. I do believe it's important to also have LinkedIn to be able to have a profile where you are more official, to say so. At first I was never getting any, like I yeah, in the beginning I didn't get any offers on LinkedIn, but in the past year I did get like maybe 3 or 4 on LinkedIn, but it's been a while since I've been working in this field. So yeah, but in the beginning I never got it and I was not active. I didn't give it any chance, so I don't think I can speak about it. But my advice would be to try to be active on both. Honestly, I feel like there's different crowds in
Mhm.
both on LinkedIn and Twitter.
Nice. Anybody else?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. So with the first two jobs that you got, were you able to make posts or were you able to tweet about like the work you were doing for those roles, or you're only tweeting about like the work you were doing on the side?
Mm, about the first job, I didn't post a lot. I don't know why. I felt like it was like wrong to do so. Like I was very confused at my first job. I was just trying to make a good job, to say so. At my second job, I do remember I started to post about it, but I was not posting about it too openly, to say so. I was mostly posting like the smaller bits that I was working on. I always have, and I kind of still do have this fear of sharing something that's not supposed to be public, and I don't want to be that person that goes to my like design lead or my manager and like, hey, can I post this, or is this not something we want to talk about? But I was always trying to find something that was safe, to say so. I definitely have I worked on a lot of things that I couldn't share, and I wish I did, but it was just not the right thing to do. Um, but if you cannot share something, try to, like, in my case, because I was working on a lot of designs, it meant sharing a lot about the design work I was doing. So that meant photos and so on. But if you are more on the engineering side, try to talk about a problem or a process without giving too much details. And yeah.
I guess kind of like piggybacking off that, how
Sure.
would you recommend like sharing like engineering things that are not like as easily to like visually show off, but like, let's say you're working on some code you're proud of or something. How do you recommend like handling that?
Now, I guess it kind of depends on like what you're doing when it comes to engineering. One thing I would have loved to do more, and I'm just not doing because I'm not that great when it comes to talking, but it's blogs and like getting really deep into a topic. Again, I'm not doing that because I'm just not the best person when it comes to writing, but I feel like if I could not share my stuff visually, I would try to go down that path, because I know I really enjoy a specific article when it's going really deep about a specific topic, and I might not have I might not have an idea about exactly where it came from, but like it's talking and it's touching about upon some subjects. So I would definitely recommend trying to do that. One thing that I've done before, and if it's something that, for example, I was working on a component or a specific feature that I could not directly share, what I would do, I would just take that logic, that flow of it, and try to apply it to something completely different that's not related to my job. And talk about it like that, if that makes any sense. Like I would not specifically post that component, that those details, even that design, but if it's something like I build and I'm very proud of how it works and how it flows, then I would try to build a mock-up of it, like fake info and all of that, and just post it like that and talk about it.
That makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another question, if you're okay answering another one.
Of course.
You've been building in public for like a few years now. Were there any like mistakes you feel like you made at the beginning that you've kind of improved as you went on, or?
Well, besides the stuff that I was doing, yeah, like I'm looking at my, like I don't look that often at my past things that I was sharing in public, simply because I get very embarrassed by it, because I don't think it was good. But that's always a good sign that you're learning. I honestly don't think you can make any mistakes when it comes to sharing in public, because any post about something that you did is much better than nothing. I could easily go back and like delete some of the stuff I posted, because like in my case, like the motion is bad, or there's like missing padding on the left, but there's a lot of padding on the right. Like I could delete those, but I'm not going to, because it's just showing, and it helps even more with showing my progress from where I started and where I am right now. So I really don't think you can make any mistakes. Just post stuff. Now that this came into my mind, I feel like when it comes to building in public, and I've talked with some people about it, and a lot of people that I talked with about think that building in public means sharing this like really unique and incredible project, and it's like it's been taking you a few days or weeks, and like I've never done any of that personally. And I think if you have no idea of a really big project, like a lot of like the stack is very big and so on, just work on a feature of something and share that. Like I have, like most of my building in public works is just bits of projects that I might never even have finished. I remember the first time when I posted something about design, and it's actually Sashi who DM'd me, and he was like, oh, hey, this is looking great. It's just like the hero section of a website. I never built that. I never built that all the way till the end. I never finished designing the website. I just built a hero section. I was happy with it, and I posted. Like I don't know how to say it, but we should sometimes embrace the fact that it's okay to not finish a project. Maybe you just wanted to work on a feature. Maybe you just wanted to learn something about how to build that feature. Just do it, post it. It's fine to not finish a project. Like it's not something you should do all the time, but that's how I managed to post more often and try different things. And if I get any ideas, we all have maybe a notes app where we write all these ideas, like, hey, I'm going to build this and I'm going to get that. And how many of those things did we actually get to build? I know I haven't. So if you have an idea, just like some specific part of a project or of an idea, just go build that, post it. If you want, you can always come back to it and be like, hey, this is another part of the project that I was working on. Just don't think that you can build perfectly in public. It's literally anything that you build, and it can be wrong, it can be buggy, it's okay.
So what you're saying is it's better to post than not to post.
Exactly. And it's always better to
Okay.
not finish a project than have no project at all. So
Oh, yes, agree.
I have a question. How did you go
Sure.
about learning the design side of things? Did you take a course or something, or just kind of learn as you go?
I tried to take a course. I could never, and I hope I'm not like saying this doesn't go to anybody, but I could never find a good design course that I thought it was for me. Um, Initially, I was starting as a front-end engineer, and I was learning JavaScript and front-end engineering. And then, like with everybody that starts front-end engineering, I feel like a lot of people start building websites and like really static just websites to learn CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. And I remember there was a point where I was like, I don't know what to build next. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go into Figma and try to put something together so I can build it. And that was the reason I even started like doing any design, was so I can have something to build. But I was like, I'm gonna post this as well. Like even if I take a screenshot of my work in Figma, I'm not a designer, I'm still gonna post that. And I did. And a few people were like, hey, this is looking good. And I was like, okay, maybe like they mean it, maybe, probably. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep doing that as well on the side. I tried to find courses that would be like teach me how to design, but I feel like this is the difference between coding. I mean, I don't think I would call it a difference, because in both cases you just have to practice a lot. I do agree that I did one or two courses, and many more I didn't finish on coding, and they helped me a lot. And but I would just say with design, just go into Figma. If you like a website, screenshot it and try to recreate it with design. I would not really recommend a design course, and that's because I don't know any good ones. I'm sure there are some out there. If you do, like anybody in the chat, just recommend them. But I never did any design course. I took something that I liked and I tried to recreate it, and then I went ahead and actually built it. That's how I learned how to design, and still learning how to.
Yeah, I can concur with you too. The designing is tough. Even if you go through courses, it's kind of like coding. It's you have to really, really do it over and over again. And also,
Yeah.
I would say it's a lot about design. Is you either have it or you don't, and that is the honest truth. Like
Yeah.
it is not something you just learn. You can learn it, but you still won't be like an excellent designer. And those are what modern companies and stuff are looking for, are like just true talented designers. And because with developers, right, there's thousands, millions of us, whatever, I don't know how many numbers are, but designers, there's less design jobs than development jobs. Because in
Yeah.
a company like Microsoft, we have maybe 100 developers, and then we maybe have 10, 15 designers. So there's not that many,
Yeah.
because the designs can whip out designs quickly, and then development, takes time, iterations, testing, all that stuff. So but when you can do both, like Mary, then you have superpowers, and you can do a lot of things, right? But it's very rare. Like I've told her when she posted that up, I said, this is actually extremely good for like being a beginner. Like this is really, really good. And I took it out to say that to her, and she told me she's like, "Who's this stranger, like trying to talk me up?" And I was
I
like,
thought he
"No,
was joking, like, and he works at Microsoft. I was like,
yeah,
is he just like making fun of me?
yeah." So I saw the talent in her, and that's what happens. And then if you look at her clerk work, right, you're like, "Wow, this is like really, really well done." And I seen that since the beginning. It just had somebody had to give it a chance, and then when she got that chance, then she was able to like really excel in it. So again, like design, it's the same thing in being full stack. Like you can learn it eventually, but design is like something where it's like you either have it or you don't.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much. And I do agree that for coming from somebody that does both, I am more afraid of opening Figma than I am afraid of opening VS Code. So, like, I feel like with code, I will eventually get to a solution, but with design, I never know. Like, I'm still sweating when I have to design something that I know has to be really good. Um, and design will require much more practice than code. At least that's how it was for me. Um, Lots of practice. Yeah. And when it comes to the part about like if you have it or you don't, I feel like I want to touch upon this thing. I feel like a lot of people are not aware that they have it, just the way I
Yes.
was not aware that I did. So open Figma, if spend some of your free time trying to do some designs, you actually don't know if you have it. Just do it and then go ahead and post it and see if somebody like Sashi will DM you or not.
Or yeah, yes or not, right?
Yeah.
Did you learn a lot of, or like any back end things, or did you mostly just focus on front end?
I never tried. I've been reading about backend and I'm aware of what's happening over there, but like it's not attracting me absolutely at all. I'm not saying it will not happen one day, but right now I'm not trying to focus on too much backend related things for sure. I feel like it's on some days I feel like it's hard enough to do both the front end and like the UI engineering, the front end and the design. And I feel like if I add backend to that, it will be too much. And I would not say no one day when I feel like I'm more experienced with either front end or design.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give yourself if you were to begin again without having your first job?
Not quit so often. I feel like I could be like more than half a year ahead of where I am right now, which is also kind of wrong to talk about because everything should happen and it happens at the right time. But I was quitting so much. At one point, I was like, I'm not even going to become a front end developer. This is too much. Mind you, AI was not a thing at the time, and like it was incredibly harder. um, and I was just going to, okay, I'm going to go full into design. But yeah, just don't quit. It's fine if you do it like once or twice, or if you take like a small break. But I was taking like breaks of weeks, and because I was also working a full-time job during summer. At that time, I used to work in tourism and hospitality industry. So during summer, I would take even maybe months of like breaks from coding and I would forget absolutely everything and I would have to start from zero. So yeah, just don't try to stay consistent. Consistency doesn't have to be like hours of coding, especially if you have a second job, like a full-time job. Even if you don't, and if you really feel stuck or just it's fine to take a break, but don't take a break that's too long because you will forget everything. And I sometimes I wonder what would have happened, where I would be if I just stick to it more. And yeah, just try to be consistent. It's very easy to forget how to code and how to design.
Yeah, I have a question about like you posting. So since you have like years of experience doing it, like have you noticed the more you've done it, like have you started to realize like a trend in like getting more reactions or comments or like a bigger audience depending on like what you post or like what day or time you post?
I never looked at the day or time. I just post when I feel like what I have to post is good to go. But I do feel like having, so I never posted threads. I'm not a talker. I'm not somebody who writes a lot. So that's why I didn't post threads. It's fine if you do. I have nothing to say about that type of posting. But I feel like having a photo to go with your tweet and also your tweet not being insanely long is going to help. Like most of my tweets that caught the most attention were like 1, 2, or maximum 3 lines long, and they were followed by a photo because I feel like that's what personally when I'm like scrolling and I see something that has a photo, it will there's a bigger chance of me stopping and looking at it. Um, Using really like simple vocabulary, like not big words, it's going to also help. There's a lot of people who are not, whose English is not their first language, like me, and like I appreciate when they're not using big words, sounding natural. Just yeah, I feel like these 3 things I noticed for sure they help a lot. But about time, an hour, I feel like the honestly the less you care, I think it's going to be better. Just it's fine if you're going to look at your posts and see which ones were like doing the best at that hour, but I never looked into it and I don't plan to.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Mary, how did you prepare for interviews as a UX engineer?
Okay, so this might be, I don't know how, like, I never did really actual interviews, like technical interviews, and I hope to God I'm not ever going to have to, because I'm going to lose every chance of getting that job. Um, I did have to go to interviews, like talking with people, but I was mostly talking about either myself or how I would approach a problem. But a lot of those people that came to me, they came because they saw my work on Twitter, or because somebody that works there is following me and they recommended me. Mind you, this might be somebody I never talked with, and they just like follow me and they like my work, but I never had to do a technical interview. Thank God I
Oh
have, like, I'm
man,
really,
you are so lucky.
I know. I'm
Oh
like so
my.
grateful every time when I hear about technical interviews. It's, yeah, I don't know how to answer that one, because I haven't gone to like really solve this problem, go home and come back with the result type of interviews. And I think that's helped me, because what helped me was the fact that everything you kind of had to see was already on my profile.
That's a good testament to indicate to. I have another friend in the same position as you. Actually, you worked with him, Brian Morrison at Clerk.
Yeah,
He built in public a lot, and he shared a lot of videos. And he said that his interview at Clerk was so easy because they already seen his videos, his
yep,
work ethic, everything. They just needed to make sure that he was not that he was fine, like he was normal. That's it.
yeah,
That was it.
exactly,
They just talked to him and they said, "Cool, you're in."
yeah.
But that's a testament to building in public. Like, yes, Mira is a
That's right.
very,
It's like a
very
coffee
unique
chat.
case. Yeah, she's a very unique case, and we all wish that we could do that. But it does help if you
Yeah,
build in public, get seen by somebody. Like she said, somebody likes you, somebody follows you, highly recommends you, and then you can like skip like the one of the most difficult interview, which is the technical, right? Because they already seen your work, they know how you work and all that stuff. That's why we do
exactly.
these videos, and when we do sprint demos and all this stuff, hopefully we all can share what you've learned, what you're doing, what you're building, articulate all the things that you're connecting. Those things will go a super long way for you.
Yeah, I do agree. My interview was like a coffee chat. Mind you, I was very nervous, obviously, because I was applying for clerk. Applying, I mean, yeah. And also keep in mind that the person who recommended me to the person that reached out to me for that role at clerk is somebody I never even talked with. I think they maybe might have liked a few of my tweets. I was following them, they were following me. I never did a coffee chat with them. After I got my role, I found out who it was. So you never know who follows you. This also goes to say you should have coffee chats. You should learn about technical interviews. I was preparing for them as well. I was just lucky to not have to go through them. And hopefully I will not have to, because I have no idea what to do.
So I'm like, if you build in public, you don't have to do a technical one.
Yeah,
There's a high percentage, yes, yes. I mean, if you do a good job, I mean, you never know, right? You
yeah,
never
yeah.
know.
You never know.
Mary, so like I was wondering during like, oh, how long have you been building in public in general? Like,
So I began in September of 2023. That's when I opened my Twitter account, and that's when I started doing what I'm
and how
doing.
much of the time would you say like where it was like you had momentum with tweeting or posting where it's like it was easy versus like you had to like be like, okay, like you don't feel like posting or tweeting, but you still did it anyways? Like, would you say it's like 50?
Uh, so in the beginning, because I had a lot of free time, I was posting a lot of stuff. It was easy because I was working on personal projects, and I feel like if you have the time, or if you're working on personal projects, literally, again, like I was saying, just post anything you have. It doesn't have to be perfect, just it can be simple, really simple. But once I started to get my jobs, I was like, I didn't have time to work on personal projects. Even if I did, I would prefer in the beginning to do some extra work at my role. That's because it was my choice. I wanted to do that. I was really afraid that I will lose my job, because I was just like battling with imposter syndrome, like a lot of us do. Uh, but I feel like right now, like this past few months, I've been struggling the most with sharing in public. And yeah, I did have momentum before. It's good to keep that, but you're not going to always have it. I did have like maybe periods when I didn't post for maybe 1 or 2 months, which is fine. I didn't go anywhere. I was just very busy. That's perfectly normal. Um, I would also say to not worry too much about not being like be consistent with learning, but it's okay if you're not always consistent with building in public. I would say that try your best to be as active as you can, keeping in touch with people, sharing your work, but it's also fine if you lose that momentum and when you have to work on more important stuff or you just don't have the time. It's also fine. It's okay. Just I never had a schedule about skill building in public. I just always shared what I had when I had it. That's it.
Cool. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I guess kind of like going off of that, like, is there like a thing for like posting too much or anything like that?
Yes, I believe there is actually. I feel like I don't know how to say it. If I would have a lot of things to post, like let's say I have something to post like every day for the next few weeks, I will not post every day for the next few weeks. I would like let something, I would post something, I would let it sit, and then I would post a few days later. In the very beginning, I remember I was posting like at least, like I was trying to put a tweet at least every 2 days. Obviously, that got more and more rare as I progressed, but I do believe there's something as posting too much. Like let post something, let that sit in, let people uh, see it, and yeah, just I do believe there's something like that. It's very cool though if you have a lot of stuff to post, like just schedule them, I guess.
Question.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people to prevent burnout? Right? Because there's so much to do. Like right now, I feel more busy than I did when I was working my previous 9 to 5. Right? Because there's just so much to do or so much to learn,
Yeah.
and not enough time to do it. Right?
Yeah.
So any advice on that, like management time, or like what should we focus more on? Because there's so much to do, right? From posting, learning, collaborating. There's so much, right? There's just a handful, and so yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to working a full-time job while learning how to code, I've been there, I've done that. I don't think I'm the best person when it comes to time management because I was very, like, I was not good at it. Like I was saying, I was quitting a lot, and it's something I wish I didn't. Um, I would definitely say not to worry too much about posting as much as I would worry about trying to be consistent because I mean, yeah, building in public, and this is the whole point of this live, is very important. But if you're going to stay consistent and if you're going to work on any, like even a few lines of code, which will eventually after a week or two will get to something that you can post about, just worry about that because if you do get past that, you already have something to share in public. um, when I was working like not in an office or anything, so I had to be like going to hotels and to the airports. I was always on the move. I could not always carry my laptop with me. I almost never did. But the way I was trying to stay consistent when I was away from home was either my phone or my tablet. I was reading a lot of stuff. Like I was reading a lot of code. I didn't like I was saying like we didn't have AI when I was doing all of that before because I feel like right now having AI would be a very big plus when it comes to being away from your laptop because you can just ask it question and like ask it to quiz you and all of that stuff, and you can do a lot of stuff away from your laptop. But yeah, that's what I was doing. I was just trying. I was on GitHub a lot. I was on Twitter, not to socialize or anything, but see what people were posting, and then they would share their projects, and I would go look at their project, and I was trying to do all of that from my phone. I did try to code from my phone at one point. I think I was doing free code camp courses on my
It's
phone.
crazy.
at one point. Yeah, I was I was desperate to just change my job at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think reading a lot so you will not literally forget what you know. That's what I was doing.
A follow up on that. You mentioned that you stopped learning, right? Or you stopped.
Yeah.
Was it because you got burnt out, or you had other stuff going on, or like? And then follow up to that is what helped you get back into it.
So I don't think I ever got like the full experience of burnout ever so far, and I'm very grateful for that. I did get like maybe the smaller type of burnouts where I would just for a few days I didn't want to touch my laptop even if I had the time. So it was I stopped doing like learning how to code because I was just too busy. In my defense, I was working not from 5 to 9, but or whatever. I was working like in the morning for 3 a.m. Sometimes I was getting home in the middle of the day, or I was working all the way until evening. I had a very flexible program, and I was just really too tired to be in front of a laptop. So it was not burnout. I was just too busy. When I did have the time, and I had a few days, like a few weeks of non-stop working. I just didn't want to touch the laptop because I wanted to relax. But what always got me back to learning how to code was the realization that I don't want to do the job I'm doing right now. And I know what I want to do. Like I knew I wanted to get into tech. I knew I wanted to build stuff and literally exactly what I'm doing right now. So yeah, it's just that motivation that comes. It's very important to grab it and not let it go because it's very easy to let the whatever it's not for me type of thoughts to get in. I had moments like that when I was like literally I was not going to come back to coding because I thought it was too much for me, but it turns out I was just not consistent. So yeah, just that motivation that in the beginning why you wanted to join. I feel like that's what always made me come back. And you do it until it sticks. So
So I have a question from Michael. I don't know if he can speak, but as a self-taught developer now working in the industry, which technologies and skills do you use most frequently in your daily task? Did you hear me, Mary?
is it for me or for I'm
For
sorry, I
you,
thought you
for
were
you. He's asking. I'm asking
I,
on his behalf for you.
oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking Kim. I was like, okay.
No, 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 no. I'm asking
Okay,
you.
can you please ask again?
Okay. As a self-taught developer, now working in the industry, which
Okay.
technologies and skills do you use most frequently in your daily task?
Okay. What can you elaborate? Like, what do you mean by technologies?
Because you're more of a designer, maybe do you use Figma a lot?
Ah,
Do you
okay.
CSS, right?
Oh,
CSS,
okay. Yeah.
Tailwind,
Yeah.
all these
Okay.
things? Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to my stack and the things I'm proficient in is like React, Framer Motion, CSS, obviously Tailwind. I do use Figma obviously for my designs. All my animations and all of that, I am using Framer Motion to build them. I haven't really explored much with other like libraries and frameworks. I did first my first framework was Byte or Beat, the way
Mhm.
I think it's pronounced. And then at one point I realized that's not the framework that was requested in my region in Europe, because that's what I was planning to get a job. I was not ever thinking that I would get a remote job from a company that's based in the US. And that's when I switched to React. I'm
Mm,
using
yeah.
Next.js,
Mhm.
and yeah. Other than that, I'm trying to stay away from using too many things because I feel like when it comes to when it comes to the period of learning and staying productive, I'm just using Notion for taking notes, and I'm looking at my doc right now. Like that's it. Yeah.
Nice. Right. Another question for you from Hector. He's not
Okay.
here. What ideas do you recommend for supplemental posts to fill in the gaps between like your main posts about big things and whatnot, um,
Hmm.
and about things that maybe about things that they're currently learning or building?
Yeah, so I think what they're asking is like the stuff that you would post about that's not related to actually building in public, like the
Maybe you're,
kind of
yeah,
a
yeah, kind of like you know how like you have big features, right? And you're like, oh, here's something really big that I did, and then in between, you're like, well, what do I post now? I don't have anything else to share
okay, the
that's
in between
valuable.
stuff. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think this goes back to the way I think I see Twitter and LinkedIn. I feel like on Twitter, I am feeling more comfortable about sharing some stuff from my personal life, um, which I don't see myself doing on LinkedIn for some reason. Like I'm seeing Twitter more of a, hey, here's my portfolio and also my personal life. So I think I like to make a mix of building in public and this is what my setup looks like. This is what, hey, it's my birthday. This is the dinner that I went to. I feel like it's very important to also show a bit of who you are. I'm not saying you have to take selfies or just like share your entire the setup. I God knows I started working from like the plastic table and like I didn't have like it was nothing aesthetic to share. Like, yeah. Um, so I'm trying to make a mix of both, not to share just about working in public because I feel like it's very important to show a bit about yourself, like literally like what movie did you watch recently, or if you like to read books, or I'm sharing like when I go on a trip, I'm just sharing like 3 or 4 photos of what I visited. And other than that, one of the type of posts I make is just like my setup. I think one of the things that a lot of people liked when I was first like tweeting was showing them how I'm learning. Like I had my notes and my
Mm.
sketchbook, my notebook, and I had my laptop on with some code over there. I like the photo and I was sharing it and people liked it as well. So I feel like it's very important to make a mix of some personal life, some real picture of you working somewhere. It literally can be at a cafe. It doesn't have to be home. It doesn't have to be aesthetic like at all. It's kind of like showing a bit of who you are, how you're learning, and then what you learned and what you created. And that's the building in public part. Yeah. So I was posting a mix of these 3 things.
Nice. That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I always say that too, is it's hard to always post about code because sometimes it's just a bug or something you're doing, you're like, "Ah, I didn't really learn much." And but then I try to share my personality too, right? Like, oh, I love to eat
Yeah.
food and this is where I'm
Yeah.
at and stuff because um if you're always coding stuff, then it's fine, but you want to showcase like your personality and who you
Exactly.
are as well, because then people can kind of see what you're interested in, what you're doing, and it's like, okay, this person is also fun and has some commonality with them about traveling or whatever it is. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
And I feel like that says a lot of about you and the person who look next at your profile and see like, yeah, he's a person first of all. Like he's a
Yes.
human being at the end, and he's okay, and he's learning in public. So yeah, definitely try to share more about you. I know a lot of people who just share their work and
Hmm.
literally nothing. I don't think I ever saw a photo of their face. And again, I don't have to post photo of your face, it's fine. But just like something that's real, that's yours, and it's not code or design.
Awesome. Any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, I kind of just had one kind of like go off of what you're saying about the whole like 3 lines and like photos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like I was like kind of thinking because like obviously like I will say like I sometimes like over explain and I like write a lot. And like obviously for like one example, like it would be really cool to talk about like off context and stuff, like something maybe kind of complex and like have a bunch
Yeah.
of photos, but like do you ever have like any strategies of like taking something like kind of complex and like limiting it down to like 3 sentences and or do you kind
Um,
of like let the photos more so speak for themselves?
Yeah, I think that's again a plus because when I'm posting, a lot of the time, the things I'm posting are related to design. But my question to you, do you write blog posts? Do you have a blog or a place where you can share those complex things? Like, I feel like if I would be somebody that could write more complex stuff the way you do, I would not like put that away. I would actually use it. I would have a place where I would share my blogs and be as detailed as you want, because God knows I know people who really like to read through that. I like to read through that as well. But when you're mentioning your blog post, try to just simplify it really simply. Like, hey, I wrote a blog about this and that. Share a picture if you want, anything. And I would recommend for the picture to also be simpler to say. So I feel like when it comes to Twitter and people scrolling and having busy lives, when it's something straightforward and simple to grasp, it's what will make them stop and look at it. So I will not say try to make your complex thoughts and writings simple. Just put them in where they're supposed to be. Just go on any platform and write those, but mention it on Twitter. You can like get snippets from there or from the things that you said, or just describe the blog post in general. But yeah, I would use that. I think it's a very important skill to have, to be able to talk complexly about something, about a topic.
I neglected the live stream chat this entire time.
I also close it because I know myself. I
Oh
would just
god,
get
that's
distracted.
why I hate
So
hosting. I'm just like I
I'm like,
can't
they
do
left
this.
because of you.
I know they probably did. Well, Brian came, Richard, Alex is in there as well. This Alex, Nick. Thank you all for commenting. Sorry I missed on that. It is pronounced GIFs. Sorry, Brian. GIFs. You're looking at me like, what? Anywho, any last questions before we wrap up? I do have one more for Mary, but I want anybody else that has any that they want to ask.
I had one.
Go ahead,
mhm.
bro.
It was talked about earlier about design jobs being less prevalent than developer or engineering jobs, and I was just curious if that encompasses. Does that just mean like graphic or visual design, or is that encompassing like the umbrella of all of UI and UX? And then a follow up I had to that, being married yourself is in being into design. I'm curious, the take on AI and development roles. I'm pretty familiar with the conversation about that. I'm less familiar with, the conversation revolving around AI and how it's affecting, perhaps the job forecast of design roles.
Okay. So for the first part, I feel like I think it's like more of UI and UX that's harder to find jobs for rather than graphic design for some reason. That just could be my opinion. When I was getting into design, I was also on Instagram a lot. Like I was following a lot of graphic designers on Instagram. Then there's a lot of them. Just I feel like the same way that a lot of people are doing coding and development and so on. So I think it's more about the UI and UX parts of things. And for the second thing, when it comes to AI and design, I think this is the most important period to actually be able to do good designs. I think AI it's a great tool to get started to build prototypes, but I don't think I'm really not worried about AI getting scary good at design anytime soon. Um, I think it's good at coding, but not that good, to be honest. I don't use AI that much. I'm using it mostly for like getting started with an idea or a prototype. And whenever it comes to making it feel good, when it comes to making it look good, I close the app, I close ChatGPT, and I'm getting to work all by myself. Um, I've seen people doing designs with AI. I think it has potential, but you can always, at least personally, I can always tell when something was made by somebody, by a human, and when it was made by AI. And in some cases, you can also tell that with code very easily. I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
I feel like it's a topic that we can have a whole different chat about, but yeah, that's like briefly what I think about it. I think it's a great tool to get started and prototype, but not to get to the finish line. It can be there on the side for the finish line, but it should not lead you. You should lead the tool.
Awesome. Anybody else? I mean, you can always ask me your questions too after this. This is not like
Yes.
the only time, but
I'm on Twitter.
yeah,
So shocking.
I want to keep these to like an hour at most, because it's just timing wise and everything like that. So anybody else? All right, Mary. My last question to you. All of these people in the Gridiron Survivor program, they are self-taught or boot camp graduates, and it's just very hard for them to get a job and all that stuff, right? So they're still learning, they're still growing. What advice would you give to them so that they could keep going and continue to like share their learnings and things like that? I know I've been grading them a lot, saying, "Hey, share in public, build in public," and it is very hard when you don't know what to share. It is very hard when you don't have a big following. It is very difficult when you just feel embarrassed that, oh, maybe this little thing, like it's so simple about, just learning what React is. Like, should I even share this? Like, what advice can you give the Grand and Survivor team?
So first of all, I learned something so basic and so simple. It's not worth tweeting about. I remember I struggled with that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna say I learned what use state is, but would anybody actually care? And then this was just an example, but I remember I stumbled upon 100 days of code, and I felt safer adding that hashtag in front of what I was going, what I was about to say, because that would make me feel less cringy about it. And then I never finished the 100 days code challenge, and I just dropped the hashtag and I continued to post my stuff because I realized the people who want to see that stuff, they will either follow me or unfollow me. If they're going to unfollow me, that's perfectly fine. I opened this Twitter account because I wanted to share my stuff, and I was thinking of it more like a digital journal rather than the next CEO of a big company is going to see that I'm learning about use state and he's not going to care about it. I didn't think about that. It's my personal account. If you want, you go make another personal account of your personal account and post there if you feel embarrassed. But at one point, you're going to be like, nobody besides you, and the people who will be looking after you will not care as much. And that's as straightforward as it is. There was a point when I was also embarrassed. I just tried to get past that because I realized nobody cares. And I also started to surround myself and follow people that were doing the same thing. So when I got into the community of people that were openly sharing about the fact that they learned something really simple, it was easier for me to do as well. So I feel like it's also very important who you are following and what group of people you are surrounding yourself with. But just again, it's better to have a buggy feature or an unfinished project than have nothing. Whenever I was embarrassed about posting something or doing something and I was letting that go by days and weeks, I was like thinking, oh man, I could have done so many others. Like I could have shared so much stuff in this period, and I didn't, and I don't know why. Like after one point, you're going to be like, why didn't I do that? Just do it. Nobody cares that much except for the people that will want to like hire you one day, and they will hire you because of the stuff that you're sharing. Like I'm trying to like, I don't know how to put it into words. Just do it. Literally do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. And when it comes to not knowing what to share, again, I had that problem when I have had no idea of, okay, what would Twitter want to see? Like, what would get somebody to like my posts and get them like with a lot of likes and maybe get the eyes of somebody that would hire me, like I would not think about that. Just try to see your Twitter account as your uh, personal digital diary where you just post so you can keep yourself accountable, so you can watch your own journey, and everything else will follow. Don't post for them, don't post for something someone else, just do it for you. Just think of it like someday I'm going to look back at this and see how I progressed. And that's how everybody else will look at it if they're interested in hiring you and looking at the stuff that you did and how you learned. And I think it's also very important to share those small things. I think it shows that you were once a beginner, just like if I'm looking back at my old work right now, it was full of mistakes. And I think it's nice to see how something went from from somebody who didn't know a lot, who was not experienced at all, and they got to this point where they teach everything themselves. And I think that's also important because you guys come from being self-taught or from boot camps, and that's much more impressive than somebody who had like came from universities and all of that. And I'm not saying it's not like they also should do the same thing, but like it's much more impressive you post those mistakes that you think are the end of the world. Just do it, get past the embarrassment. I think there's you're not going to care about it, especially not when you're going to get your first job.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Mary. I want to end with this is that Mary is one of many successful build in public stories. I know many other friends that have done and gone to do the same thing. Yes, it is difficult, but
Yeah.
it's an opportunity because right now, right, only a few people know you and whatnot. But as you continue to build, as you continue to share and be consistent, like Mary says, you'll gain a following, and like she said too, so you might not know who's following you. It might be your future
Never.
employer, your future coworker, that recommends you to the company and says, hey, I've seen Lillian, she does all this work, I think she'd be a great fit for this role that we have because I've watched her videos or her blogs and all that stuff, and I feel very strongly that she could fit in. Like having an internal referral is always the easiest way into any
Yeah.
company. They trust their employers and they trust their the recommendations. Obviously, you have to execute and do well in the interview,
Yeah.
but sometimes you might get lucky like Mary and be like, hey, it's just a coffee chat, you're in. And it's like good to go because your work is so fantastic, right? But that is what I'm getting at is you may feel like you're not like you're learning just the basics and stuff like that, but you don't know what others are looking for, and maybe they are looking for a beginner like that, or maybe in 3 6 months whatever, they're like, wow, you've grown so much in this time,
Exactly.
I'm ready to refer you. I'm ready to hire you. It just takes time, but be consistent. It takes time, luck, and opportunity, and connecting with people like Mary as well. Having her as an advocate and like answering questions about like building in public, all these things. It's only going to justify that this is an opportunity for you to learn and grow. And I would say this too: even when you get your first job, don't stop building in
Yeah.
public.
Biggest
Like,
mistake.
yeah, don't stop. But I'm not saying do it every day, but do it occasionally
Yeah.
because your next employer might see it again, right? Like it's always a never-ending cycle, and it's like Mary says, like your digital journey, like journal, right? Like where you can put things there and you can go back and see all the things you're doing. Plus, as a hiring manager or something, I can go back and look at all the stuff that you've done and look at your progress and everything. And it's a great way for me to have an understanding of who you are and what you can bring. So again, Mary, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and answering questions. We can't wait to see where your journey, where you're at in like 5 to 10 years, because I really hope you don't have to go through any technical interviews, which
I
which
hope
which
this
is
whole
like
thing doesn't jinx it.
ridiculously crazy. Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 The next person, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I saw that that live stream of yours. We're gonna give you one. um,
Nope. No.
But again, thank you everybody for watching. We will continue to have guests like Mary on here, but we'll also continue to build with the team. The team is going into feature development in the next sprint. So look out for the next 2 to 4 weeks. We're going to do some sprint demos, and then our team is going to do some presentations on the features that they've built. So again, watch out for those announcements, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Cool. Thank you so much. Bye bye.